We are in the opposition lounge in the Alberta Legislature with Rachel Notley, the NDP leader. Thanks so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I was thinking about not long after the 2019 election when I interviewed you, and obviously that election sent your party from the governing benches to the opposition lounge. You said at the time you already had 2023 firmly in your sights. How did this year match up to your expectations?
Well, obviously, we would have liked to have won government back. That was our clear goal, and we didn't get there. I would argue that we got about 2/3 of the way to that goal in terms of the number of votes we needed, the number of seats we needed to gain, all those kinds of things. So the distance between here and government is much shorter than it was in 2019.
Since the May election, there's obviously been a lot of curiosity and intrigue about your future as party leader. You've been saying you've been thinking about this. I mean, I think these are natural questions anytime any party leader or party loses an election or two elections. When do you plan on providing some kind of indication of what lies ahead for your future?
I'm going to take the time necessary to consider my future and consider all the various factors in that, and I'll let people know once I've reached a conclusion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you took responsibility though for, I remember election night, you were standing there saying, you know, this is on me, right?
Totally.
The loss is on me. Does that not prompt the question though, or the necessity to look at change at the top if it's on you?
So that's why I'm taking the appropriate amount of time to consider all the factors and determine what's the best choice for me, my family, for the party, for the province. And as I say, I'll let people know once I've had a chance to really fully consider it.
Your opponents, though, they often point to your party's ties with the federal NDP and with the influence of labor unions as being some kind of evidence of a great socialist plot. But you're so adamant that your goals for the Alberta NDP are quite distinct from your federal counterparts. So why have you been so resistant whenever anybody mentions severing ties with the federal party?
Any sophisticated, thoughtful provincial party is going to temper what they do on the basis of what's in the best interests for the people in their region or province. So those are the things that drive some of the differences. But I would argue that we have more in common than what divides us. One of the single biggest issues that Albertans care about, which has shown up over and over and over again in polling as well as in what people talk to us about since we've been in government, is healthcare. And there is no party that has done more to protect and promote public health care than the NDP across this country. It's a brand I am proud to be associated with. Just even in the last couple of days, we see the move forward with the expansion of the dental plan. That is, like with most things related to healthcare, something that would only happen with the hard work and the dedication of the NDP. We're talking about CPP right now. It matters tremendously to the vast majority of Albertans. Go back in history and you will see that CPP was also the condition of the federal NDP supporting the then federal government. So there are many features to our social lives and social networks that we have in this province and in this country that can be traced back directly to the long-standing advocacy of the NDP.
What concerns you the most right now about the state of Alberta politics?
We have a government that claims to be worried about the day-to-day concerns of Albertans, but since they've gotten elected, they've done virtually nothing to address the matters of affordability. I am deeply concerned about the disconnect between what's actually impacting the people of this province and what is driving the Premier's office, and that is a very small group of extremists. I am frustrated at the chronic level of dishonesty from this UCP government. never seen anything like it. It is very hard for people to engage in democracy when it is seen as completely appropriate to make up numbers and make up facts the way this government does.
They would counter-argue that they witness chronic levels of dishonesty from your side as well, though.
They might, but I would happily sit down in a room with them and give them newspaper articles, peer-reviewed articles, videotapes, audio tapes to go one-to-one, because the reality is that's not how we operate. It is how they operate, though.
Supposing that is true, why do you think that they would utilize that approach?
Well, I think it's an outgrowth really of Trump, and you've seen sort of extremist and far right groups see the success of it in the United States. They just bypass mainstream media. They have different social media platforms where they speak to people, and they just say things that are not true. They're not factually accurate, and they realize that they can get away with it. And we've seen that with Donald Trump, and unfortunately that tactic has migrated here to Alberta in the form of Danielle Smith's version of the UCP.
Are you still feeling that same kind of level of energy for this job, though, that you would have felt in 2015 and 2018?
My energy for the job comes from my sense of responsibility to people who need me to do it as well as I can. So the two are inextricably connected. As long as I'm in it, I will work very hard in it.
Assuming that Alberta actually gets to net zero by 2050, paint me a picture of what that looks like.
The way I'd like it to look is that we continue to be a leader in energy production, that we are a leader on a whole bunch of different forms of energy production, that we are the purveyors of green tech, that we have been the most innovative in terms of taking our abundant renewable resources and putting them to good effect, and that we are finding ways to use our natural resources that we do have, including bitumen, in a way that is still very profitable and productive for Albertans, while at the same time not threatening the climate.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us and having this chat. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.